And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast. This is episode number 42. Back with the one and the only Hitmaster. He is back in action. And we're ready to do this here today. We got a lot to talk about. We're back from the bye week, and we're back in action. We'll today review Nashville, everything that happened there for all three series. We got some news. I was surprised there wasn't a lot of news over the bye week, so not as much as I thought, but we did have some pretty big stuff going on. Another two more game reviews today. Today you're going to be getting the reviews of NASCAR Heat and NASCAR 2001, NASCAR 01. So we'll be doing those today. And at the end, we will preview the weekend that has been highly anticipated for a long time, the Chicago Street Course. So this is going to be a big one. So big race. So we're going to preview all of that today. First, talk about Nashville. I had a chance to watch at least part of all three races this weekend, which is a rare. Well, last weekend, I guess, because it was last weekend. So that's a rarity for me. I usually never get to watch the other two. In trucks, I didn't get to watch much of the truck race, but I did. But I did watch the end. Carson Hocevar hung on late through a couple of late restarts to snag the victory at Nashville. I don't really remember anything else from the race. I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I don't know if you did.
No, I didn't get to watch the truck or Xfinity, but I watched some of the Cup race.
Okay. The Xfinity race was a wreck fest. They wrecked on a lot of crashes, as to be expected, I guess, for an Xfinity race. But it was a big wreck. AJ Allmendinger, who was caught up in one of the earlier crashes, ended up rebounding and really dominating the end of the race, and was able to get the victory, cleaning up. He was there was a very emotional post-race interview for him. Very happy to win the race. Very fatigued because of the heat. So they were talking a lot about that. And then in the Cup race, we saw a lot of long green flag racing in this Cup race. There was a lot of just long runs. I think we only had 4 or 5 cautions, and 2 of them were for stages. So not a lot of on-track incidents. But one of the big one out of that, few crashes that we had happened midway through the race. Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney getting tangled up on a restart, and Blaney ended up crashing into the inside wall just off the exit of pit road, which has no safer barriers to it, and he hit it head on. And he was okay after the crash. At least it seemed like he walked away, and hopefully he doesn't have anything concussion-wise. I think we would have heard something by now if he did have something concussion-related, but he doesn't, as far as we know. So, but he said it was one of the hardest hits he's ever taken in his life, in his career as a Cup driver. And he's been doing this for a long time, relatively speaking, for many years. So that's pretty surprising. And it brought up a lot of controversy over the fact that they should install safer barriers there. And is the car safe enough? We know that there's more impact, resistance stuff coming to the car, but that's not until Atlanta. That's still a couple of weeks away. So, actually only about a week away, but we still, don't know about that. But so that was pretty good, pretty big. I mean, pretty good. It wasn't that great, but it was, all right. But Ross Chastain, we haven't talked about him in a while. He's had a quiet few months, about a month-ish, few weeks, I should say. Been finishing near the back of the field, getting caught up in crashes, but he hasn't really been instigating a lot of tension or drama on the track. He's just kind of been back there, and but he decided to rally and take the victory. In Nashville, and he did it in a clean way. He didn't get it tangled up with anybody, caused no issues whatsoever with that, and we finally got to see a watermelon smash in 2023, which was really, really cool. He ate the watermelon straight off the track, which I don't know
It
if
was
that's
disgusting.
I don't know if that was necessarily the best way to do it, but you know.
Every time he does that, I just think of the character from SpongeBob of that old woman. It's disgusting.
Disgusting. Um,
Disgusting.
like that's whatever. I mean, you win the race. That's really good. And he gave also another very emotional post race interview. He was very very happy to run a cleaner race and also get the win. And I think that shows maybe a possible turning point for Chastain, because you know he's still shown that he's got the speed to get the win and you know run well, but he's also not playing super dirty or aggressive. So this could come to his favor when it comes to a playoff run, because I think a lot of people have him maybe championship contender after getting so close last season to doing it. So it's definitely a good step in the right direction. It's also a track that he's not been. It's also a kind of track he's never been that great at. So for him to actually be able to get the win, pretty convincing fashion to do it, that was really really good as well. And then of course, so I don't know if you had anything else from the race that points you wanted to add.
That Chase Elliott almost had the shot, but I guess we'll wait another day. Maybe the Chicago Street Course. Maybe he'll win the inaugural. Who knows? At this point, what it's looking like right now, Chase Elliott ain't make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, he's in a must-win situation now.
I mean, so is Alex Bowman too.
Oh, Alex Bowman can still get in on points. He's like, I think he's actually was in the playoffs before Nashville, like on points. But he is. But you know, a win would definitely help. There's definitely some tracks left that I think Elliott could get the job done at. But there's not it's not looking good for him. So yeah, so that would have been nice to see him get the win. I think he'll get it though. I was happy for Chastain though to get a win in a clean way, so I'm not mad with the winner overall. Chastain also did lock himself into the New Year's Eve Spectacular. He is the 17th driver to lock his way in, 13th off of wins this season. 4 drivers still on Champions Provisional, so he will be in for the second straight year this year as well. So that's good. But of course, we also have to talk about, this is the first race of the year for NBC. And, you know, we all know how big of a disaster Fox was this year. I was never a big fan of this new NBC crew that we got when NBC came back in 2015. I'm sad to say it, but I'm really not that high on Dale Jr. as a commentator in the booth, though I do think he's gotten better over the years. But compared to what we saw on Fox this year, aka Clint Boyer's ear bleeds, it was definitely better. I can't say it was good, but it was better. They just all felt like they had more enthusiasm into the race, but they were still, again, I guess the Dale Jr., he's fine, you know, can get used to him in the booth. Rick Allen, a familiar voice, so I can, you know, I'm not too mad about him in the booth. I don't like Jeff Burton. Jeff Burton is awful. He has an annoying voice. He references the cars by their number every time, and it's just say their name. He's always done that. It's not just something new. He's always done that. But just say their name. I don't know why they can't say their name. And I don't know why. I just he does. I don't like him. I just don't like Jeff Burton in the booth. I would like somebody to replace him. But compared to the Fox crew, they are miles better and miles of improvement. So that is good. Good stuff. So hopefully they'll get better. I mean, they spent more than half the race talking about the Chicago Street Course. I mean, they cut from Parker Kligerman was it Parker Kligerman? He wasn't even in Nashville. He was in Chicago where the party's gonna be. just hanging out there while it's pouring rain, talking about the Chicago Street Course. And like, there's a NASCAR race happening right now in Nashville, Tennessee. Can you talk about that? This is next week's race. Like, I get you have so much hype put onto this thing, but they spent more time talking about Chicago during the Nashville race than Nashville during the Nashville race. Like, good God. And it wasn't like Nashville was that great of a race, but it was far from like the worst race I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there was good racing, good strategy, and we had some good big crashes and whatnot. But no, everything's on Chicago. And then they made one of the most blatant lies I've ever seen, that the city of Chicago is super excited for this. No, they're not. They've been an uproar and cry ever since long before the street closures even began, for safety and money and all this stuff. They're not even selling out hotels.
Chicagoland.
That's what really got to me. But after this weekend, it'll be over. So I can at least rejoice in that. But we'll get to Chicago Street Course more later. But that's it for the weekend at Nashville. It's a good weekend overall. But we're back to racing, which is the most important part. So we got a little bit of news. We talked about it, but we knew it was going to happen. But it was finally confirmed over the off weekend. Josh Berry will officially be in the 4-car next year. He's officially signed and is officially going to be joining the team. Like I said, we knew this quite a while ago, like it was going to happen, but we now for sure, like it's 100% confirmed. So it's a good opportunity for him, and should be good stuff next year for him there. More big news. There's a new NASCAR game coming out. It's called NASCAR Arcade Rush. Now, it's not what I think we wanted or what we expected, but so it's coming out on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC on Steam. It's gonna be $50. It's gonna have 12-player online and local multiplayer modes. And they're going to be racing at reimagined versions of NASCAR tracks. So let me see if I can find more about this. This was over a week ago now that we saw this happen. It's coming up on a lot of stuff. So they're going to be racing. Experience iconic NASCAR tracks like Talladega, Daytona, Darlington, Martinsville, Homestead, and more in all new ways that will thrill your imagination and deliver a new... Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. Deliver a new level of playability within the vaunted NASCAR video game franchise. Race your way. Choose from a full array of vehicles spanning 75 years of stock car racing history and horsepower. Customize your car and a driver to suit your style with new paint schemes, rims, spoilers, visual effects, suits, helmets, and more, with thousands of combinations to discover. Robust racing modes. NASCAR Arcade Rush features expansive single-player modes, including Career NASCAR Cup Series, Quick Race, and Time Attack. Take on your friends in thrilling head-to-head local multiplayer or race rivals from around the world in 12-player online multiplayer. Fans can also look forward to the NASCAR Project X bundle for NASCAR Arcade Rush for $59.99. This digital exclusive will include not only the full base game, but also loaded with extra NASCAR Project X playable content featuring hovercraft car model developed as part of Project X, Project X paint scheme, rims, wheels, and spoiler, themed driver suits and helmets, team sponsorship option, vehicle FX package, and emojis for some reason. Okay, definitely not going to get that. I don't even know if I'm going to get the main game. It looks fun, for sure. It's not NASCAR Heat, and it's not NASCAR 21 Ignition, so when you hit rock bottom, there's only up to go, you know?
I do have some news about NASCAR Heat, actually. NASCAR Heat, they said that they're going to make a update of the next gen update. So you can either, what you could do is you can either choose, this is from what I heard, the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series or the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series cars. You choose the 2022 next gen, everything. But they kept everything because the next gen car does not look like what it's supposed to look like. When you go inside the car, there's supposed to be a camera to look behind you. There's nothing there. You still have that mirror on the top. So let's see if they can do that. But that's what I've just been hearing in rumors. But
Interesting. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I know they've been talking about an next gen update for Heat for quite a while, but it's been like delayed and stuff. And a lot of people are like, why don't we just get a new game?
right,
Because they can't find good developers to make games anymore. Because nobody wants to make an NASCAR game anymore. So they have to get teams like 21 Ignition to do it, and nobody wants that again. So hopefully Arcade Rush is good. It looks good, but you know how we thought 21 Ignition was going to look really good, really realistic graphics, and then no. So hopefully they don't rush it. Hopefully it takes its time, and we'll be able to hopefully get it soon. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get it at launch. We'll see, but how the kind of like reviews go and whatnot, but it should be good. So. Some news for this weekend. Justin Marks, the owner of Trackhouse, well, part owner of Trackhouse, is going to be driving the one car for in the Xfinity Series for his own team this weekend. So that's pretty cool. You kind of forget that he used to be a driver and he doesn't really race anymore, but you know he is racing this weekend, so that's cool. Bringing out the good stuff for this weekend. Here was another big piece of news. So this was one of the bigger pieces. Josh Harris. So you don't know who Josh Harris is? Good, because I don't either. We're gonna find out right now. Josh Harris. I'm guessing is an American investor. Oh yeah, because he bought. Okay, so this guy's a businessman. He went to Harvard.
so he's smart.
Well, he owns the Washington Commanders now. So
So what you're meaning to tell me is he used to own the, I'm gonna say it, Redskins, because that's their fucking name, the Redskins, and that means he used to own Joe Gibbs.
well, he doesn't. He didn't. He recently just bought the Commanders.
Okay, then never mind. Never mind.
He
I'm
hasn't.
an idiot.
He hasn't bought it. He hasn't bought it. He bought it like a year ago or so. I think it was. I don't remember. But the big news about this is he bought a stake in ownership of Joe Gibbs Racing.
Oh, well,
So it's like kind of a segue there. It's like, oh yeah, Joe Gibbs used to coach the Commanders. Now they're in his team.
oh yeah. By the way, give me that.
It's a minority stake in ownership of the team, but this is pretty big news because this Joe Gibbs is a big team, and they really selling part of their team off is a little worrying. We know they've been on like the downfall for a while. They haven't been like the peak team that they used to be, but they're still strong. So that was a pretty big shake up there, and it'll be interesting to see what comes from that.
I wonder. There'll probably be good paid schemes because if it's half Washington Commanders and half Joe Gibbs, if, at one point, one of the drivers, Ty Gibbs, who I still think should be in the Xfinity Series, but okay, um, Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, I almost said Kyle Busch. But yeah, those drivers. Oh yeah, Christopher Bell. Sorry, for any Christopher Bell fans out there. But if maybe one of the races they have a Washington Commanders paint scheme, because they did with Michigan State at MIS.
Mm-hmm.
They also did it at Michigan University with the Wolverines,
Yep.
and now the White Sox. So
They've done a lot of sports teams for paint schemes. So
I still think they should do one driver should drive White Sox, which Ty Dillon, and then Austin Dillon should drive a Chicago Cubs paint scheme because Dillon and Dillon, Chicago, both teams, bam,
mm-hmm.
makes sense. But they get to choose.
Yep. We'll have to
Same.
see.
I feel the same.
We'll have to see what comes from this going forward. Nothing really. It's been about a week or so since that was announced. So, we had the thing on I-95 where part of it collapsed and they had to rush to reopen it. And it was in near Philadelphia and stuff. Well, they brought in some jet dryers from Pocono to help with the reconstruction process, which was kind of weird. That was kind of a big deal. But they did it, and how cool would that have been to be on the highway and you see a jet dryer out drying off part of the highway? That would have been so cool to see. I wonder if they were ear deafening as they usually are. Imagine driving in highway traffic and then you just
Yeah, you just hear a loud noise what the fuck is that noise? Oh, it's just the jet dryers over there. Just jet drying I think, dirt track. If I'm not mistaken. Unless I'm thinking of a different track.
dirt track.
A long time ago, there was a dirt track that I went to that was called I-95. But I think I'm thinking of this different track.
I-95 Speedway? Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, I was wrong. All right, never mind.
So we got some pretty sad news in this next one. Jimmy Johnson's in-laws and their 11-year-old grandson were killed in a murder-suicide in their home in Oklahoma a few days ago. Jimmy Johnson, you guys know, was supposed to run the Chicago Street Course this weekend. The Trackhouse withdrew his car from the race, however, so that he could go and deal with family matters. So that was a pretty shocking revelation there, and that kind of really sucks that happened. So condolences going out to the Johnson family to find peace in this time of hurt. So
I say this to all my friends. I say I hate Johnson with a passion, but the one thing I've gotten taught is don't wish upon anybody's death, and I don't wish upon anybody's death because that's just wrong and you get hated for a lot, and I'm not that kind of person. So this is the first time I'm saying this. Condolences to Jimmy Johnson, a 7-time champ, and please just take his time because I don't know how hard it is because I've never had this happen, but I bet it's really rough on him. So That's sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Yep, just wanted to pass on our wishes there. A couple more things. I secured tickets to MIS just the other day, so I'm going. Yeah, baby. I will be sitting in. I think we're on turn. Sitting where we sat last time. That was there. I didn't go last year, as you guys know. I went to Bristol last year. But so we're going. We went 2 years ago. We sat at like pit road entrance, turn 4. So we're sitting around there again. So that's really really cool.
We'll make sure to vlog it because I most likely will get tickets. I just have to wait for someone to pay me back. And once I do that, then I'll get the tickets, and me and Tyler will vlog it. He'll go with his friends, and then I'll go with my friends, and I'll get my kids.
I'll probably vlog. But I don't know yet. We'll see. I'll definitely try and meet up with you with everybody who goes that we know, so we can have a big collab, happy party. I'm going with my dad, so we'll see how well that goes. But it should be a lot of fun. I love going to MIS. I really wanted to go this year specifically because it is going to be Kevin Harvick's last race on MIS. He's a 5-time winner of the event at the track, and if there's any track that he's going to win at that's left on the schedule, it's probably going to be Michigan. So, or a plate track, one of the two. So I hope we can see some good racing while there. Hopefully no rain, and hopefully no COVID, because if I would have gone last year, I would have gotten COVID, and I ended up getting COVID anyways, like a few weeks later. But I avoided it then, so hopefully I can avoid it again. So, but hopefully we should be fine. But then the last thing, there was a penalty out of Nashville. Sheldon Creed, the driver of the number 2 car in the Xfinity Series, he was fined for causing a crash at Nashville. Chase Elliott was also fined this, but this was a much weaker fine, probably because it wasn't as severe of a crash. He, instead of being suspended for a race, he was only docked 25 points and fined $25,000. So, for causing a crash, but he will be back on track. So, that's all the news I had, unless you had anything, Hitmaster.
I do. I don't know if I said this. Oh no, I never got to because I wasn't in the last podcast. About Corgan Oil. I found out some news about that. So, like I said, it's not getting torn down or anything. They're hoping, and they're really hoping, which I don't know how this is going to work. I may have said this in previous podcasts. I'll have to look later, but they are going to try and keep it up and then do races, of course. And then they want to try and do monster truck things.
Ooh, monster truck.
I don't know why, but I don't know how they're going to get through that tiny entrance.
Well, they probably open it up more.
Right, yeah. True. They might tear down some stuff and all that.
They could rework. That would sell well. Monster trucks would sell well there.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. They'd make a lot of money.
And then they're going to try and do concerts.
Oh, I don't know how well that would work.
Yeah, I don't know because there's a lot of houses nearby.
Okay, but if they're going to do monster trucks, you can't complain about the noise.
Well, no, I'm not complaining about the noise. I'm complaining that it's a concert is way more different than the monster trucks. Monster trucks you can tune out. Concerts, they have loud speakers and loud everything, and then you can't tune that out because you hear screaming fans of that person, and then you're screwed. But, I mean, all in all, to hear that they're, trying to do more with that track makes me happy. Because I want to see that track keep going.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. I'll be honest, I don't I don't know about how seeing a concert there, it could work. It would sell probably as well, but I don't know how well that would work per se.
Yeah.
Um,
It'll be good. Trust me, it'll be good.
all right. Anyway, so before we talk about the street course, I got 2 game reviews to do today. No, I did 2 in the last episode. We did NASCAR 90s, NASCAR Racing, which is like NASCAR 96, and NASCAR something else. Actually, I need to look because I might have done NASCAR. I might have done the NASCAR Heat review in that one instead. Let's see, because I cannot find my notes for NASCAR Heat on my list. So which means I already did that episode and I deleted it. Let's see.
Remember, he's not talking about the NASCAR Heat like on the Xbox or PlayStation. He's
No,
talking about the old
no.
one.
This is like late '90s, early 2000s
Yeah,
game. Um,
I was there probably when he picked it up, most likely.
you were. Got it for a really good price at one of our local game stores. So. Oh no, I did NASCAR 2000 in the last game, in the last video, not NASCAR Heat. So I don't know where my NASCAR Heat notes are. Let's see. I remember a good amount about the game, so I can still review it, but it won't be like super in depth like I wanted. There it is. I found it. I found my NASCAR Heat notes. Okay, not a lot of notes. That's why.
Find it.
Here we go. We're gonna do NASCAR Heat, then we're gonna do NASCAR 2001. I played them both on the PS1. I know 01 was also released on the PS2. I saw it. I've seen it, but I got it on PS1 because that's all they had when I bought it. So let's jump into my NASCAR Heat review. So, the intro in this game is really, really cool. I said that about like the last couple games. Another really, really cool intro. It really disappoints me how the intros have really gone down in quality since in more recent years, because they used to have like very elaborate long intros with big racing montages and cool music and really, really cool stuff both in game and like regular race footage. And I'd like to see them go back to that if because I think that would be really, really, really cool for them to do. And I also like a lot of the driver interviews that they have in this game in the intro. As well, kind of feels a little bit more, it's a preview of who's in the game and, kind of a evaluation of who you might want to race as in the game if you're not big into NASCAR but trying to get into it, that kind of thing. I also really like that Alan Bestwick is in this game. He has a big role in this game because he gives a full in-depth interview on a lot of the challenges that you can do in this game, and I really, really like that. So. He is peak Alan Bestwick, and I think that's really, really, really good. So, he does a good job for sure. The Beat the Heat section in this game is really, really cool. It's kind of like a precursor to the Lightning Challenges. It's kind of the same premise, but it's not really there are scenarios that you do like recreate, but they're not as in depth and they're not as accurate. They're more for just to be more generic challenges based off of stuff that actually happened. So they're still really, really cool though. They still feel like the regular like Heat challenges and or Lightning challenges and whatnot. So I still really like them. For the driver selection, there were 26 drivers that you can race as, plus your custom car, so 27 really. Plus custom cars, I guess, that's an okay amount. About what you would expect for the time. So I'm not too worried about there. 19 tracks, though, that you can race as is really, really good. But no fantasy tracks, which is kind of a surprise. Because games before this had fantasy tracks. I don't know why they couldn't put that into this game. And you can change the time of the race. Like you can race, like if it had multiple races on that track had multiple races on the schedule at the time, you can change the date that you race as in the race. Like say Michigan has 2 dates, you can race the June race or the August race. Though it doesn't do much because most of the time they're the same length anyways. So unless it's a night race or a day, and like one's a day race and one's a night race, it really doesn't do much to really change the date. So it's kind of feel unnecessary, but it's still a nice touch to have more representation for the entire schedule. So the menu music in this game is outstanding. I loved listening to it. Great stuff there. So I really liked it. The track and car renderings in this game are also really good, especially for the time. So that was really nice to see. I really liked all that stuff. Did a good job because they don't always do a great job, but this game did a really good job for that. The crew chief's voice that you hear in the game as you're playing, as you're racing, is so annoying. And I know they're supposed to be like in your face and whatnot to like, simulate real experiences while being in a NASCAR race, but good God, his voice is just so annoying and he says the stupidest stuff. Good Lord. So
At least it's not one of those games where if you're going on the high side and it just keeps going low, and it just like keeps going like ignition.
oh my
It's
God,
like
yeah. Look, look, this game, I've never played a game worse than NASCAR Ignition 21. So don't compare this to the driving controls are pretty good. It's a PS1 game, so and even though I played it on a PS2, I couldn't use the analog controller part, so I had to use the D-pad, and that's fine. It just can make for a little bit stiffer racing usually, but this one is very loose. I found myself getting loose a lot and almost spinning out, but it was nothing where like it was so horrible that I couldn't like drive the car and like I couldn't play the game. But it was just something that I noticed, which was a little weird. And the only other note I really had is that there was some long wait times, some long like loading times and wait times in between like qualifying and the race. For really no reason whatsoever. The long intros, you can talk about that, but at least that's like some interesting stuff to look at while the intro is going on. When you're waiting between qualifying or like starting to qualify, I think qualifying or after qualifying when you go to the race, so you're waiting to race, it can be quite a while for that. So I don't know why they did that, but
I'm looking at I'm looking at a video that shows NASCAR heat, so I can listen and look what you're talking and like you know see what you mean by that. And the graphics look good
they
from what
do.
I see. They look like I don't know if this was before Dirt to Daytona, but it looks like Dirt to Daytona. To be honest, a little bit, not a whole lot, but it looks good. I would play it.
It was. I was very surprised about how. Sorry about that. I was very surprised to how good this game really was. It was out of the games that I've gotten in this like haul. It was probably my second favorite. I haven't reviewed my favorite yet. That will be not the next episode, but the one after that I review that game. Hint hint. But I really liked this game. It was very surprising to me. I'm not a big fan of driving with the D-pad, but that's just a product of its time, so I can't really be too mad about that. So it's kind of a deter to go away from playing this game, but I still really enjoyed it. Pretty good 8 out of 10 for me. A little bit more driver selection would have been nice, but that's really all I can think of. Maybe a little bit tighter controls, but what do you expect? So, But overall, really good game. If you find it for a good price, I would recommend picking it up and playing it because I think it's definitely worth your time if you're a NASCAR fan, especially from that period. I think you'll like it. That's NASCAR Heat. Now I got a little bit more of an extensive list for NASCAR 01, which again I played on the PlayStation. This had Tony Stewart on the front cover, which I'll just point out was I think a weird addition to me. He was early in his career, but he was like still good at the time, so not too big of a deal, I guess.
Was it on PS2?
I played on PS1. It also came out on PS2. So if you wanna, you can get it for those. I think it probably came out on like other consoles as well, but that's the ones that I would be able to play it on. So awesome intro as always. I think pretty much all these games have pretty epic intros from like the late 90s, early 2000s. It's really awesome to see all the stuff they do with these awesome intros. And I know, okay, this game came out in 2000, but it's called NASCAR 01. And I didn't think about it until I booted up the game. And then I'm on the menu, and I just see Dale Earnhardt's face all over the back of the menu. And it's NASCAR 01. That was like, oh, shit, yeah, oh, wow. Bet they didn't know that was going to happen.
That's the thing, they didn't.
But, yeah, I had to remind myself this game didn't come out in 2001. It came out in 2000, so... but, yeah. Bob Jenkins in this game, again. This is, I think, the second game that I've played with Bob Jenkins in it. It's really, really cool. He does a good job with the voiceovers in these games, so really, really happy with that. And I said this in one of the reviews from the last episode, but when you do a quick race in this game, it's not like it is today with a quick race. It just picks a random driver and a random track, and you just go. And I guess that was kind of the point for quick racing back in the day. It wasn't. Because then there's like, you have to do a regular, I think it's called, what's it called? I think it's, local race or like race now or something like that. I don't know. Where that's the mode where you can pick a driver and you pick a track to race at. And I guess that was kind of the point, was to have them separate. But I think they realized pretty early on that they said, wow, this is kind of stupid to have these separate. Why don't we just put them together? It's kind of redundant to just pick them for you. So I'm glad they did away with that. But that threw me off once again in this game. I did like they have a nice page on the menu. You can go and you can look at like track records and speed records and nothing like that. And you can look at Hall of Fame pages for like records and drivers and wins and all this kind of stuff. I think that's a really, really cool touch to like keep track of stuff and also educate yourself on educate the player on more stuff. So I really like that. Really good driver selection. 37 drivers plus any custom drivers that you want. That's again awesome selection there. And 19 main tracks plus 5 fantasy tracks for a total of 24 tracks. That is also really, really good. Only Bristol and Daytona have day and night race options, however. Even though I know like Richmond had a night race at that point, and I think a few other tracks did at that point too. Charlotte obviously did, but alas, only 2 do. But that's okay. The other thing I don't like, and this is a thing from a different game that other games that I've already reviewed. There's only one length for the race. You can't like adjust like a percentage of the race that you want to run. So if you want to do like a longer race or a shorter race, you can't. It's only stuck on like 10-12% of the race, I think it is, that you can run. Which I guess is fine. Like, it's something that, is kind of an evolved thing after they started like making the games and doing all that stuff, but it's still, kind of annoying. Like I think even back then, I'm sure it was probably an easy thing to fix and do, but they didn't do it, so that's okay, I guess. But I don't know why, but when you start the race, you start in restart form. And what I mean by that is they start single file, not double file. And okay, it's not as bad as a F1 style start that you do in NASCAR 96, I think it is, or NASCAR 2000, where you start you're behind you and you're two pairs of two a mile apart from each other. F1 style, okay, at least it's not that. But why are we starting single file? I don't know why.
It's so funny how when you said they start single file, I'm watching a video of it and they're legit just starting the race and they're starting single file.
Yeah, it's just
What perfect timing.
Unreal. The driving controls in this game are not the greatest. But they're still decent. You get they're very tight and sensitive though, which I guess maybe playing NASCAR Heat in this game back to back wasn't the greatest idea because of the very different driving controls that you get in these games, those two games. So that's probably why I thought they weren't the greatest. But I'm also again driving with the D-pad, so not as great as movement options. So if I played maybe the PS2 version, I'd maybe like it a little bit better. But you definitely do get used to it. And this confuses me. What is trap time? I was trying to figure that out for the longest time, and I could not figure out what trap time meant in this game. If anybody knows who's watching this right now, let me know. Let us know in the comments what is trap time. I need to know. Be good. So, and then obviously they can't have Winston branding in this game for obvious reasons, because they couldn't have cigarettes or beer or whatnot promoted in the game. And so I just find it funny how it's literally just called NASCAR Cup Series like it is today. When you see the walls or signs going around the track, it literally is just that, but in the Winston branded form. But without the Winston name on it or anything, which I just think is kind of hilarious that how it all came around to what it is today. The stats in the instant replay stuff is really, really cool. Gives a little bit more of an interactive, in-depth experience to the game, and I really, really like that. So the track and the car renderings are okay. I think the car renderings are fine. Track renderings are a little weird because the banking seems off for a lot of the tracks. It seems like Bristol's banking is too flat, but then Michigan's banking is too steep. That could just be kind of perspective reasons, or maybe what they were trying to go off of back then. But that's kind of just how I viewed it. So. So instead of doing, so on top of doing timings for a full lap when you race, they also time every half lap, or a section of the track, I should say. I think it's every fourth of the track. I think it depends on track, but they time for sections of the track. It seems a little unnecessary. It is kind of cool to see. It is a cool way, though, to see, how, I need to improve my lap here, or I need to improve my lap here, or, something like that to better overall improve your lap time. I guess I can see that, but for the casual player, it kind of seems unnecessary to have a function like that in the game, but I guess it wasn't, the worst thing, a bad thing to put in. The loading screens in this game are really, really cool. I really, really enjoyed those too. So, that was cool. And you don't want to go in the grass.
Mm.
It's a big no-no in this game. Going in the grass in any NASCAR game is never like a great idea. And it's never like, bad. It's like, you're probably going to get punished in most games. But in this game, you really don't want to go in the grass. You get absolutely royally fucked if you go in the grass. So do not do that. I like the in-race music in this game. I think it's really, really cool because it kind of brings up the monotony of just hearing, the engine, which is like the only other noise, and like the sounds like the crew chiefs and stuff are like the only like noise that you hear in the game. So it is kind of cool to have a little bit of music breaking that up. And for some reason, like I said, there's 37 cars. There's 37 drivers in this game, plus custom drivers. However, when you race, you only race against 17 opponents. Even though you could go to like 38 or 37 opponents or 36 or something like that. I don't know why they chose to only have 17. There's no way to change it as far as I know. I looked. I couldn't find a way to change it. So I guess you're just stuck with that, which is, again, weird. Like, I don't know why they do that. It's just a little weird to me. But, I don't know. Maybe it's just so, maybe difficulty reasons or something like that. But, you know why? Let me know. So, this is another fun game. It wasn't as fun as Heat, in my opinion, but definitely worth my purchase. It was a cheap price, so I can't be too mad about it. But my final score for NASCAR 01, probably a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it's not as good as Heat, but it was still a pretty decent game, fun game overall, so I'm glad I have it. But I don't know if you have any other lasting thoughts about this game based on what you've watched, but
It looks like a good game. I mean, it's not bad. It would be like any other old game, in my opinion.
So those are the two game reviews for this week. I don't know if I said this before in the last episode, but I did finally buy Dirt to Daytona. So I have that. I haven't played it yet. I will try, but that's gonna be one of the game reviews for next week, as well as NASCAR Thunder 2002. Those are going to be the two game reviews for next week's episode. So that's something to look forward to there. I still have to play. I have already played Thunder 2002, but I have to do my notes. I have to do my notes for Dirt to Daytona still. I'm very busy. I'll try. If I can't get it done by the next episode, I have two other games ready to go for reviews. I'll just do one of those instead. But I want to go like chronologically, and Dirt to Daytona and Thunder 2002 would be the next up in that line with that. So we'll try to get it done. But well, anyway, that's everything we had. So it's time to preview the street course. We've been talking about this for months. The Chicago Street Course. And I'll be honest, I think it's getting way, way overhyped. And because I've seen street races before in like IndyCar and Formula One, and it just to me seems like there's like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of passing. I think it's going to be very tight racing, quarters. It's really just going to come down to track position, and I think that's going to be how it be. I don't know how like long, like wide the track length is gonna be.
Not very.
So,
Not very.
I just don't think, because of how fragile the next gen cars are, drivers aren't going to really want to use the bumpers, and I think they're just going to be wanting to get a feel for the course. And
there's going to be a lot. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of cars having to push their brakes so hard because of how steep the turns are. Like, I'm not even kidding you. I was looking on iRacing, and the way that the way it looks on how it's gonna be, it's gonna be weird. I mean, it's gonna suck for drivers. Don't be surprised if you see maybe 2 to 3 cars not able to brake and hit the tires.
I don't know. I think we're either gonna see like a very chaotic wreckfest type of race, or we're gonna see a very calm, boring race because of the fact that it's a brand new course, a brand new track. So I think we're gonna have a lot to see upon that regard, but a lot of hype going into it. Hopefully the fans love it. A lot of stuff going on, so hoping for a good one. That's all I'm saying. I believe so. Only the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series are racing this weekend. So we'll first do our predictions for who we think is going to win the Loop 121. What a name! What a name indeed. For the Xfinity Series, who are you predicting?
For the Xfinity, hold on 1 second. Let me go to the roster because I don't know half the stuff. Where are you at? Drivers, there it is. Xfinity. All right. I'm gonna go with John Hunter Nemechek.
Interesting choice. For me, I'm gonna pick Riley Herbst. So I'm going with this weekend. I don't know, just have a good feeling about it. So, and then in the Cup race, in the Grant Park 220. We're gonna get the poker chips back out. Let's go.
It's finally back.
All right.
Finally found them on my dirty floor last time because I moved in with my dad. So I get to finally mix them up. All right. For yours, I'm gonna go into this famous Red Wings cap. I'm just gonna randomly pick one. Well, I wish you luck on this. You got Bubba Wallace.
So I've got Bubba Wallace. That's interesting.
Take it one more time.
All right.
Oh, I mean, that ain't bad. Chase Briscoe.
Okay. He hasn't really done much this season, so maybe that'll be a spark of luck that he needs to get back on track.
Also, if you guys are just new to this, the reason why we do these poker chips, I went to Bristol Dirt, I bought a lot of poker chips, and I decided, I'm going to choose a poker chip out of my pocket. What were the odds that I picked Christopher Bell? And I was like, okay, let's see if these poker chips actually work. Well, what happened later that day? Christopher Bell won. So
they really haven't brought us a whole lot of luck since, however.
I bet you there's one person out there that's doing a record of like wins and losses, or like have looked to see where our drivers have finished and went by that. But don't worry, I bet you one of these days, maybe Chicago Street Course, maybe
we'll win again.
We'll get the victory.
You'll have to invest in more in the at MIS so that we have a more wide range of choices to make, so we have a better chance to win.
What I'll have to do is I'll have to bring the poker chips, and then look through all of them to see if which ones I need and which ones I don't need. because I hope they have a Chase Elliott one so I can have all Hendrick. Because why not?
That would be nice, yeah.
No, so I want Chase Elliott.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, that's all we had for this episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. We will be back next week with the full analysis of the Chicago Street Course and 2 more game reviews.
Terrible.
And we'll be doing a bunch of other stuff as well. So, should be a good time. So, once again, thank you guys for watching so much. We will be back. So subscribe to Hitmaster, subscribe to me, and check out other much more amazing content on other awesome stuff. So until next time, we will see you guys later. Yeah, bye.